A blessed day to everyone. This is John Patrick F. Domingo from Pamplona team. I am recently teaching at Curva Elementary School. I am tasked to discuss to you the theories and researches relating to educational administration, which is under Unit 1, the principle and concepts of educational administration and supervision. But before we start, I would like to give you a short introduction about the topic. Educational administration means to achieve the goals of education through effective and efficient manipulation of available inputs. It is concerned with the utilization of adequate resources available in the environment in order to foster the attainment of the goals of teaching and learning. It is always concerned with management of things as well as with human relationships based on a body of basic principles and aiming at educating the children and youth. It has to undertake the number of functions like direction, motivation, control, coordination, decision making, reporting, planning, and organization. And now, let's discuss the different theories of educational administration. Administrative theories are discussed in the historical framework of four models, as shown in the flowchart, and these are classical organizational theory, the human relations approach, the behavioral science approach, and the last is post-behavioral science era.
So let's have first the classical organizational theory, in which in this theory it came into existence during the early years of the 20th century. It also deals with the formal organization and concepts to increase management efficiency. Major contributors to the classical organizational theory are Frederick Taylor, Henry Fayol, Luther Glick, and Max Weber. So we have the principles of organizational theory, in which we have four principles that are being enumerated. And these are scalar principle, the unity of command, exception principle, and the span of control. The scalar principle is simply described as the line versus staff, and it refers to line of authority. So it means that there should be a clear definition of authority in the organization and that this authority flows one link at a time or through the chain of command. Second is the unity of command. It involves receiving of orders from only one person. Only one person has the power to give orders. And next principle is the exception principle. It involves delegation of routine tasks and deals only with exceptions. This method or plan of supervision, under which only significant deviations from normally expected results or conditions are brought to the attention of a supervisor for consideration and decision. And last but not the least is the span of control. This theory is limited to number of people reporting to their superiors, maybe 3 to 12, or let's say in our school, you have 21 teachers. Applying this principle to our school, there must be only 5 out of 21, 6, 7, or 8 will be reporting to your principal, or as long as limited number is reporting to the superior. In classical organizational theory also includes two different management perspectives. First is the scientific management, in which it was founded by Frederick Winslow Taylor. This theory emphasized on management of work and workers. In its simplest form, the theory follows the idea that there is one best way to do the job, and that is to use scientific method. In his view, if a task is scientifically managed, it will increase the productivity by increasing efficiency and wages of workers. Scientific management in terms of time, study standards, separation of administrative and employee duties, and incentive systems would correct the performance of laborers. The main features of this theory under scientific management are it finds out best method for performing each job. Also, it selects employees by using scientific selection procedure. Another one, it believes in having closer relationship with management and employees. Also, it uses division of labor and it tries to produce maximum output by fixing performance standards for each job and by having a differential piece rate system for each job for payment of wages. This theory also is based on certain principles in which in the year 1911 Taylor gave four principles for scientific management. First is scientific job analysis. In this principle, jobs should be analyzed through observation, data gathering, careful measurement, and management. Such job analysis will replace the old rule of thumb method. Second is selection of personnel. In this principle, once the job is analyzed, the next step is to scientifically select, train, teach, and produce workers. Previously, workers choose their own work and train themselves. The third principle is the management cooperation. Managers should cooperate with workers to ensure that all work being done should be in line with the principles of science. The fourth method is the functional supervising. In this principle, managers assume planning, organizing, and decision-making activities, whereas workers perform their jobs. In the past, almost all work and the greater part of the responsibility were thrust on workers. And moving on, besides above mentioned principles, Taylor has also given two more principles of scientific management. First of these is performance standards. Under this principle, Taylor introduced time and motion studies to fix performance standards. For bringing uniformity of work, he fixed performance standards for time, cost, and quality of work. As a result, the efficiency of workers could be compared. Second of the principle is differential piece rate system. Under this principle, a standard output was first fixed. Taylor studied that workers did as little work as possible. He felt that under existing wage system, an efficient worker gained nothing extra. And then, two wages rates were fixed. These are the low wage rate and the higher wage rate. The low wage rate was fixed for those workers who did not produce the standard output, while the higher wage rate was fixed for those workers who produced standard output or more than the standard output. And by adopting such a system of wage rate, inefficient workers will try to improve their efficiency, and of course, efficient workers will be motivated to maintain or improve their production capacity. Another perspective under classical organizational theory is the administrative management. Under this perspective, a scientific management focuses on jobs of individual workers, whereas administrative management theory concentrates on the administration of entire organization. In this theory, it's also related to the issues of structure and management of organization. Henry Fayol, Ladder Gulick, and Max Weber are the major contributors in the field of administrative management theory. And according to Fayol, all managers must perform basic functions of management. And these are: first is planning, second, organizing, commanding, coordination, and fifth is controlling. Besides the five basic management functions, Fayol has also identified principles of management, and these are division of work, authority, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interest, centralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability of personnel, and last is the initiative. These principles emphasize chain of command, allocation of authority, order, efficiency, equity, and stability. Max Weber also recognized the importance of these factors. Luther Gulick, another classical theorist, coined the term "postcorp" that refers to 7 functions of management. These functions are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. Let's have first the function of management, which is planning. Under this function, it involves developing an outline of things that must be accomplished and methods for accomplishing them. Another function is organizing. It establishes the formal structure through which work divisions are arranged and coordinated to implement the plan. Third is staffing. It involves the function of selecting and training the staff, maintaining the favorable and congenial conditions for the enhancement of professional efficiency of staff. Another one is directing. Under this function, it includes continuous tasks of making, communicating, and implementing decisions. And of course, coordinating. It includes all efforts that are needed to bind together the organization in order to achieve a common goal. Sixth function is reporting. It also includes verification of progress through records, research, and inspection. It ensures that things happen according to the planning. Lastly, it is the budgeting. Under this function, it involves all the activities that accompany budgeting, including the fiscal planning, accounting, and control. Another theory is the critical educational administration theory. Under this theory, it assumes the existence of both objective and subjective knowledge of an objective and unordered reality. So, it incorporates the methodologies of both the objective and subjective perspectives. In this theory, positing the existence of objective reality and subjective knowledge of reality. Reality is viewed as being in a constant state of change, and because of this change, laws are not sought by the critical theorist. Critical educational administration theory provides a means whereby school leaders can understand and ultimately disentangle themselves from the external and internal forces which impose upon educational practice. As Hoy in the year 1994, he clarified that critical theory attempts to raise people's consciousness about their living and working conditions through logic and debate, but in the process, it relies on the generation and analysis of ideologies. To summarize these theories, it elaborates the values and practices within schools which maintain the ideological perspective of every schools. Topics such as curriculum, teaching, and student issues display the inherent social values in the schooling process. Another theory is the human relations approach. Under this theory, it is considered to have started with a series of studies known as Hodern studies that have strongly influenced the administrative theory as shown in the flowchart. According to the Hodern studies, it gave us the conclusion that putting all the factors such as working of informal social factors, paying attention to worker, and having an open communication will increase the productivity. Always remember that the two key aspects of human relationships approach are employee motivation and other one is leadership style. However, the major assumptions of the human relations approach also include the following ideas. These are: employees are motivated by social and psychological needs and by economic incentives. These needs, including but not limited to recognition, belongingness, and security, are more important in determining worker morale and productivity than the physical conditions of the work environment. It is also an individual's perceptions, beliefs, motivations, cognition, responses to frustration, values, and similar factors may affect the behavior in the work setting. People in all types of organizations tend to form informal social organizations that work along with a formal organization and can help or hinder management. Also, informal social groups within the workplace create and enforce their own norms and codes of behavior. Team effort, conflict between groups, group loyalty, communication patterns, and emergent leadership are important concepts for determining individual and group behavior. Employees have higher morale and work harder under supportive management, which lead to increased productivity. Lastly, communication, power, influence, authority, motivation, and manipulation are all important relationships within an organization. In this approach, field study methods as well as laboratory experiments were used to study the work environment and to understand the employee behavior in the workplace. In a similar way, the human relations approach made the relationship between employees and supervisors the most salient aspect of management. It also advocates the training of people in behavioral sciences, such as clinical and social psychology, to emphasize building collaborative and cooperative relationships between supervisors and workers. Next theory is behavioral science approach. Behavioral scientists consider both the classical rational economic model and the human relations social model to be incomplete representations of employees in the work setting. In the year 1970, Abraham Maslow, a psychologist, advanced a theory of human motivation that was later adopted by many managers. Theory of Maslow was based on motivation and be considered three viewpoints. These points are: first, human beings have needs that are never completely satisfied. Second viewpoints, human action is aimed at fulfilling the needs that are unsatisfied. And third one is, these needs can be classified in a hierarchy from the lowest to highest. In this respect, Maslow identified five sets of human needs as shown in the diagram. This is arranged from lowest to highest. These needs are: first, physiological; second, safety; third, social belonging; fourth, esteem needs; and last, it is self-actualization. However, MacGregor brought a new perspective to management and challenged managers to think of subordinates as responsible, capable, and creative. He developed two theories. These are the Theory X and Theory Y. Take a look at the diagram that is being presented. These are the Theory X and Theory Y. what is the difference or what are the differences that can you see? Managers under Theory X tends to be autocratic, control-oriented, and distrustful. On the other hand, Theory Y managers view subordinates optimistically as individuals who want to take challenges in their working environments, prefer self-control, and are capable of responsible independent judgment. So, if you were to choose between the theories presented by MacGregor, which one do you prefer? It is the theory X or the theory Y. And before I end my lesson, I would like to give you a short summary about the theories related to educational administration. The development of administrative thought can be placed into a loose historical framework of four models. These are classical organizational theory, the human relations approach, the behavioral science approach, and the post-behavioral science era. The classical rational model evolved around the ideas of scientific and administrative management. The human relations, the social model, includes experimentation and analysis of the social and psychological aspects of people in the workplace and the study of group behavior. The behavioral science approach was an attempt to reconcile disagreement between the rational economic model and the social model. The more recent post-behavioral science era includes the interrelated concepts of school improvement, democratic community, and social justice. That's all, and I wish that you learned something about my topic. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all.